Welcome to Cubs Classics, presented by Prevagen. The Cubs and Mets open the 2000 season in Japan. Let's relive it together.
A sellout crowd on hand here at the Tokyo Dome. Bobby Valentine and the New York Mets taking the field, and we're just moments away from beginning the 2000 Major League season. Here come the Mets in Tokyo. Mike Hampton will get the ball in the New York season opener. Let's take a look at Don Baylor's Chicago Cubs starting lineup. It'll be Eric Young, recently acquired from the Dodgers, leading off at second. Damon Buford in center field, and Mark Grace is at first. In right field, the amazing Sammy Sosa, 129 home runs the last 2 years, 0 home run crowns in the National League. Henry Rodriguez in left field. Shane Andrews is at third base. Jose Nieves gets the nod at short. Longtime Yankee Joe Girardi has returned to the Cub where he originally started. And John Lieber will start opening day. And the man they face, he is something, Mike Hampton.
Oh, he's a real competitor out there on the mound. Came over from the Houston Astros. He's definitely a ground ball pitcher. Average almost 2.5 ground balls for every fly ball. Throws a sinker and a cut fastball to right-handers. Will mix in a legitimate curveball to the left-handed hitters. As I mentioned, a very, very competitive pitcher out there on the mound.
Let's take it to Mets defensively. Certainly a big question mark is Todd Zeile taking over for John Olerud. His last start at first base came with Philadelphia in 1996. No problems everywhere else. Terrific second baseman in Edgardo Alfonso. The shortstop, his double playmate, is Ray Ordonez. Ordonez, 3 consecutive Gold Gloves, and of course flanking him is Robin Ventura, who's won 6 Gold Gloves. I'm not sure there's anybody flashier than Ray Ordonez at shortstop. Just a marvelous defender. In the outfield, 41-year-old Ricky Henderson. We'll talk a great deal about him tonight. There have been trade rumors involving Henderson. In center field, solid, not spectacular. It's Darrell Hamilton. And in right, also coming over from the Houston Astros, Derek Bell. Eric Young just joined the Cubs during the offseason, coming over from the Dodgers, along with Ismael Valdez, Terry Adams, and a number of minor leaguers going from the Cubs to the Dodgers. Talk about history in the making. The very first pitch delivered by Mike Hampton will immediately be taken out of play, and that ball will make its way to Cooperstown, New York, in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, what a moment for Mike Hampton. What a moment for Major League Baseball. Opening the 2000 season in the Tokyo Dome in Japan. Has to be a big thrill for the youngster out there on the mound, Mike Hampton.
22-game winner a season ago with the Astros, a runner-up to Randy Johnson in the National League Cy Young Award. The first pitch of the new millennium, a strike, and the ball is off to baseball immortality. Cooperstown, New York, and the Baseball Hall of Fame.
I wonder if baseballs get jet lag flying back to the States all the way to Cooperstown.
0-1, Derek Young, and he looks at a pitch a little bit low. Young, a .281 batter in 119 games a season ago with the Dodgers. He stole 51 bases. Well, it is great to have you with us. I know those of you back in New York, it's 5 o'clock. In Chicago, it's 4 o'clock. And 2 a.m. on the West Coast. 2 balls and a strike to Young. Bobby Valentine getting an up-close and personal look at arguably the second biggest acquisition during the offseason, second only to perhaps Ken Griffey Jr., returning to his hometown to play for the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, Hampton would definitely be a welcome addition to this Mets pitching staff, not only for the numbers that you saw earlier, if he's able to duplicate those, but his attitude should filter through the entire pitching staff.
And that one's outside, so Young draws a leadoff walk. And Don Baylor told us before the ball game that Young always has the green light.
Yeah, the only player on this Cubs opening day roster that does have the green light anytime he reaches base. Don Baylor also told us that even though he doesn't have a great deal of team speed, that's a lot of very intelligent base runners, plans to use a lot of hitting and running, get runners in motion, get the players involved in the flow of the game rather than just wait back for the long ball.
Now the batter, Damon Buford, came over from the Boston Red Sox, and he looks at ball one outside. Buford only appeared in 91 games a season ago. Hit .242 for the Red Sox, 6 home runs and 38 batted in. Very odd style of holding a runner on base. Not because it's Todd Zeile, that's just the way the Mets do it.
And they do it with left-handed pitchers on the mound more so than right-handers, but in Todd Zeile's case, playing a new position, an odd way of holding the runners on base. You can see him out there near the cut of the artificial turf. We saw him in the exhibition game last night against the Tokyo Giants. A little confusion over there at first base, but those are learning pains that Todd Zeile, I'm sure, will have over there at first base.
1-1 Young running, throw by Piazza, a beauty, but not in time. It was a little high. If that throws down near the bag, perhaps they get Young, but quickly a leadoff walk for Young and a stolen base.
A lot of hard work this spring training for Mike Piazza, working with John Bad Dude Stearns on the coaching staff of the Mets this year, trying to correct some flaws in his footwork, also his arm angle on his throws to second. As you said, Tom, if that throw was down on the bag, they had a pretty good chance to get Eric Young at second base. That's one thing you have to respect about Mike Piazza and many of the major leaguers. Mike Piazza could very easily rest on his laurels, be considered an offensive catcher only, but he wants to improve himself defensively behind the plate. As I mentioned, put in a lot of hard work this spring.
Let's see if they ask Buford to get that runner over to third base. 1-2 pitch, and he fouls it back off Piazza's shin guard. It remains a ball and 2 strikes. Little things, little things. Baylor talked about it at length before the game today. He knows his team is thin, as you mentioned in the outset. They have so many injuries to key guys on the bench. Not a lot of depth there right now. Willie Green is hurt, his top left-handed pinch hitter. His top outfielder off the bench, Glenn Allen Hill, is hurt. So they have to execute when they get their chances. Still 1-2 to Buford.
And you mentioned the little things, Tom, and we've talked about this in the past. Those little things over the course of a 162-game season become big things.
Well, you don't have to tell anybody that more than the Mets. Had they won one more game during the first 162, they don't have to play an additional game to advance onto the playoffs and face Arizona. Fastball missed high and away. 2-2 on Buford. Well, we have had a wonderful time the last few days in Tokyo. A marvelous country, a wonderful culture, and they love their baseball.
Very knowledgeable baseball fans. They understand how the game works. They anticipate Damon Buford trying to move the ball to the right side of the field right here. Buford continues to foul the ball off, appearing to be pulling it to the left side. This is another one of those little things we talked about a moment ago. Buford has to try to advance Eric Young to third base with 1 out. Give Mark Grace and Sammy Sosa an opportunity. Even with 2 strikes, Damon Buford handles the bat well enough that he should be trying to push that ball to the right side. Jeff Pentland, the hitting coach for the Chicago Cubs, I'm sure will drill that into some of these players, that they're not going to be able to wait for the long ball this year.
And he shoots it into right field. It'll fall for a hit. They'll wave around Young. Here comes Bell's throw to the plate. One hopper slide. He's safe. The throw up the line by a couple of feet. 2 batters in a run for Chicago. The first run of the new millennium.
Nice piece of hitting by Damon Buford, just punching that ball out into the right field corner. A strong throw by Derek Bell on a hop to Mike Piazza, but as you see, up the line just far enough to give Eric Young room to get in behind Mike Piazza. As you mentioned at the top of the show, Derek Bell, somewhat of a question mark out there in right field. At times will show flashes of brilliance, at other times seems a little lost out there defensively, but a nice throw that time, just a couple of feet too far up the line.
And that ball also will make its way to the Baseball Hall of Fame. The first hit in the year 2000, the first run in the year 2000. So bone up, fans. I know it's early in the morning back in the States, but that'll be a good trivia question.
Well, obviously his internal time clock has not made the change yet.
Mark Grace making his 12th straight opening day start at first base for the Cubs. And he gets hit in the back. So a rough beginning in the New York Met career for Mike Hampton. He's not retired a batter.
He just seems to be having a little trouble out there on the mound finding a release point. I mean, very rarely will you see Mike Hampton throw a ball that far inside to a left-handed hitter. He loves to work both sides of the plate, but that one appeared to get away from him a little bit. Some of the pitchers over here during the exhibition games have complained about the mound. The dirt seems to be very loose out there, hard to get footing. It's not a typical clay dirt mix like the players are used to pitching off of in the United States.
Well, here's a man that many have paid just to come and watch here tonight. Slamming Sammy Sosa. Not only do they love the way he plays the game, but he has embraced not only America, not only Japan, but the world with his personality. He's down a strike. That looked like McGuire's swing right around 61 with all the flash bulbs in the seats.
Sammy put on quite a show in batting practice in the exhibition games as well as this afternoon before this ball game, hitting balls off the roof of the stadium way out there in left field. Oohs and ahs from the fans here in Tokyo.
Sosa up there with 2 on and nobody out. 1-0 Chicago here in the opening inning. And the 0-1. Strike called on the outside corner. Sosa has had his problems with Mike Hampton through the years.
Nice pitch right here from Hampton. He seems to be able to get the ball down in the strike zone a little better. Sammy Sosa will do that to a pitcher. He'll either bring out the best or bring out the worst. And Mike Hampton is not a guy that's afraid of a challenge. And as you mentioned, he's had his way with Sammy Sosa.
0-2 pitch. Fastball up, hoping Sammy would chase it. He didn't.
Now, Sammy will chase that high fastball up above the letters from time to time. Definitely a low ball hitter. Most pitchers try to get ahead of Sammy and then lead him out of the strike zone, either with bad breaking balls or fastballs up high out of the zone.
2 on, none out. And a 1-2 pitch to Sosa. On the ground should be 2. Ordonez, Alfonso, Zeal. It is a double play.
Well, after losing Mark Grace to a hit by pitch, Hampton found his rhythm. A good fastball down low. Sammy fouled it off. The called strike on the outside corner. This is where Mike Hampton can play around a little bit. Goes up high. Sammy does not chase, but then gets the breaking ball. Grounds it to Ray Ordonez, and that's all she wrote. That's not where you want to hit a ground ball. Boy, this Mets infield defense. Todd Zeal accepted at this point, but the other 3 guys as good as it gets.
Henry Rodriguez, a big swing and a miss. Rodriguez last season missed the final month by and large with a pained back. 26 home runs, 87 batted in. Oh, the memories for these fans in the seats. Nearly an impossible ticket to get. Rodriguez lifts one into center field. It should end the inning and will. But the Cubs touch up Hampton for a run on a hit. Piazza, the cleanup hitter, with the Mets back in the last of the first.
Hi Cub fans, your old buddy Mark Grace here, and I want to give you one of my fondest memories of opening day wearing a Chicago Cubs uniform. 1989 against the Philadelphia Phillies. Well, we took a 1-run lead into the 9th, and guess what? We called for the wild thing, Mitch Williams, who proceeded to load the bases with a base hit and a couple of walks, and then struck out the next 3 hitters to save the ball game. That's one of my favorite opening day memories, thanks to the wild thing.
As the nation's doctor, I often get asked, what should I do if I think I might have coronavirus?
People who are sick should stay home. You don't go to an emergency room, you don't go to a clinic. You get on the phone and you ask for advice and instructions from your physician.
We don't want you to go into the ER or the doctor's office without talking to them first because you might spread coronavirus to someone else. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
Hey Cub fans and fans of the Marquee Sports Network, it's former Cub Dan Plezak. People ask me all the time, what was your favorite opening day? I was fortunate enough to play in 18 of them during my Major League career, but the easiest by far, 1994. Tuffy Rhodes hits 3 home runs off of Dwight Gooden and the New York Mets. Heck, I was a teammate of Tuffy Rhodes, and I didn't even know who he was then. What a day for Tuffy Rhodes and the Cubbies at the friendly confines.
Welcome back to the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan. The Cubs have taken a 1-0 lead, and now John Lieber will face his lineup. Dribbled down by Bobby Valentine. Ricky Henderson leads off in left. Darrell Hamilton in center. Edgardo Alfonso is at second base. Mike Piazza, 40 home runs a season ago. He's a cleanup hitter. Robin Ventura is at third base. Derek Bell. Big key for this Mets team this season. He's in right. Todd Zeal at first, Ray Ordonez at short, and Mike Hampton on the mound. They're facing John Lieber.
John Lieber, a 30-year-old out of Council Bluffs, Iowa. Will turn 30 in a couple days, rather. Tough on right-handers. He struggles against lefties. He's a sinker ball slider pitcher. Is working on a changeup to try to get the left-handed hitters out. Does not waste pitches. Likes to go right after the hitters. You can see that changeup must change. That's a pitch that he started working on this spring in order to try to get out left-handed hitters.
The defense behind him for Chicago. Andrews, Nieves, Young, and the amazing Mark Grace over at first base, a 4-time Gold Glove winner in the National League. Rodriguez, Buford solid defensively in center, Sosa in right, and Joe Girardi, originally a Cub, went on to Colorado, won 3 World Series rings with the Yanks, and now catches John Lieber.
Joe Girardi is the next best thing to having a manager catch the game for you. Very knowledgeable, handling the pitchers. He knows how the game is supposed to be run.
Ricky Henderson swings at the first pitch, pops it up down the left field line, and Rodriguez straddling the line makes a catch. So Lieber, 1 pitch, 1 out. You mentioned he doesn't fool around with guys.
Even when he gets ahead in the count, he's likely to throw the ball over the plate. He averaged less than 3.5 pitches per batter last year. He likes to get the ball, throw it over the plate, let his defense work behind him. Nice job of communication there by the Cubs' left side of the defense. Shane Andrews appeared to have a beat on it at first. He was called off by Jose Nieves, who was called off by Henry Rodriguez. That's the way it's supposed to be done. Fundamental baseball.
Darrell Hamilton looks at a fastball low and away. Hamilton appeared in 55 games for the Mets last year. The first half of the season with Colorado, hit .339. He looks at a strike. Hamilton surprising power last season. Granted, the first half better than the first half with the Rockies in the mile-high air. Good play by Lieber back on the mound. Quickly 2 gone. Hamilton's been nursing an injured toe and an injured knee. He fell down coming out of the box, and he's limping a little bit.
Now we've seen a couple of batters slip coming out of the batter's box. Very similar dirt behind home plate. Not a lot of clay. See Lieber with that hard sinker ball going down, and most sinker ball pitchers are good defensive fielders out there on the mound. They know they're going to get their share of comebackers. John Lieber, no exception. Looks like there's some grass growing in that batter's box.
That's not what you want, is it?
Now, this is an AstroTurf field. I don't get it. Well, that's probably left from Florida, spring training. It was stuck in his cleats from Florida.
Might have been. Edgardo Alfonso takes a fastball high. A marvelous year for the native Venezuelan last season. You see the 27 home runs, 108 runs batted in. He hammers one into left center field, and that will go to the wall. Alfonso on his way to second. He had 41 of those as well last year.
A lot of baseball people, myself included, feel that you have not seen the best of Edgardo Alfonso. A marvelous season last year, but this is a player who is only going to get better with age.
Well, here's another guy that continues to get better and better with age. Mike Piazza. 40 home runs, 124 knocked in last season for the Mets.
And normally you would anticipate a pitcher pitching to Piazza very carefully in this situation with first base open, but we mentioned Lieber has problems with lefties. Robin Ventura is a left-handed hitter waiting in that on-deck circle.
So you go after Piazza?
Well, that's Lieber's MO. He goes after every hitter. situation absolutely screams to pitch around a hitter. He's going to throw the ball over the plate, try to get the batter to put it in play weakly.
A strike.
Hey, you certainly think if Lever's going to make mistakes against Mike Piazza, they will be pitcher's mistakes. If you try to hit the outside corner, miss further away from the hitter. If you try to go down around the knees, miss further low. Don't miss over the heart of the plate or you may not get the baseball back.
Oscar Acosta, the pitching coach, high bouncer over to third base. Andrews has it, and the inning is over. An impressive opening inning for John Lever. One hit, one left. The Cubs lead at the end of one, 1-0. But take a look. You better bring your wallet. Hot dog will cost you $3.80. We're doing the conversion for you. I know it's early. Shrimp tempura, Bobby. You were dining on that a day or two ago. $8.50. And the sushi platter, $18.
Well, a lot of people love that sushi. They have young ladies carrying kegs of beer up and down the aisles here at the Tokyo Dome.
Not a bad thing at all.
And you can't miss them. They wear that neon green and orange. You can see the vendors everywhere in this ballpark. You don't have to look for one.
We begin the second inning. Shane Andrews. See his numbers last year. Released by the Expos, picked up by the Cubs. He did hit 5 home runs in 19 games, and they liked what they saw. They figured, why not give him a chance to come back? Don Baylor's team a 1-0 lead here in the second. And now 3 balls and no strikes.
It'll be interesting to see how Mike Hampton works with his new battery mate, Mike Piazza, behind the plate. Piazza has been criticized in the past for his lack of skill behind the plate. I mentioned worked very hard this spring on improving that aspect of his game. We asked Mike Hampton about working with his new battery mate this spring.
You know, I think we've been working actually pretty well together this spring, and I think we'll only get better. You know, you hear about how great he is offensively, and he's a hazard defensively. You know, it's just going to be tough. There's no, you don't see that at all. He's actually a good catcher.
Well, Mike Hampton, 25 pitches already in this ball game. Neither pitcher on any kind of a pitch count at this point. Spring training is over, boys and girls. This is the real deal. But 25, now 26 pitches through the early going of this game. That's a high total for Mike Hampton.
And it's been an atypical Mike Hampton through the first inning. Plus, you mentioned the high pitch count. He has walked 2, he's hit a batter, and allowed a run. Jose Nieves, a late addition to the Cubs starting lineup. He takes a fastball high, 1-1. Ricky Gutierrez was originally in the starting lineup at shortstop, but then came down with a strained left rib cage muscle. Damon Buford moved from 7 in the lineup up to the 2-hole. And Nieves gets a nod at shortstop.
And Damon Buford gets the first hit in the year 2000.
How about that? The stars are aligned on the ground. Ordonez will take it himself. Double play, second of the game, turned by the Mets.
Well, that's absolutely a tailor-made double play there. Chopper over the mound. That AstroTurf field, you know the ball's going to get to Ray Ordonez. He fields it, throws on to first base in plenty of time. And once again, Nieves slipping as he comes out of the batter's box. Something to keep an eye on as this game goes on.
You mentioned we talked to Joe Girardi at length about that dirt around the home plate area as it's strike 1 to the aforementioned Joe Girardi. So by the time he stepped in there for BP, it was about 4 inches deep.
Well, we've all seen sand lots, Little League games, high school games, whatever the case may be. The all dirt fields with no clay to give support, and as the game goes on, those holes get deeper and deeper. Makes it very treacherous for a catcher behind the plate, and it makes it tough for the hitters as well to come out of that batter's box.
2 balls and a strike to Joe Girardi, who won 3 World Series rings in 4 years with the New York Yankees.
You get a look at that area around home plate, starting to get chewed up. The lines are disappearing inning by inning. That's not unusual. What is unusual, however, is the depth of those holes as the batters continue to dig in there to get a foothold. Breaking balls in the dirt be very tough for the catchers to handle, and as we've seen, several of the hitters have had trouble getting out of the box. Seems to be very wet as well.
2-2 to Joe Girardi, and he chops it foul.
I don't think there's any holes in the Tokyo Dome. I don't believe any of that rain yesterday leaked in here.
There was plenty of it last night. Although a beautiful day today. Chicago-like day today. Winds upwards of 25, 35 miles per hour.
Pitcher's wind. It would have been blowing in had this not been a dome.
2-2 delivery. Full count. Girardi originally signed by the Cubs as a 5th round draft choice back in 1986. Broke in with the Cubs in '89 and then left after the '92 season to join Don Baylor in Colorado. Ordonez waits, and that's sack. Hampton takes care of business in the second. We move to the bottom half of the inning. Ventura, Bell, and Zeal coming up. 1-0. We're in Tokyo. John Stearns, the Mets coach, wearing a microphone for us. Our Fox sounds of the game.
Ready. I like those unis you and Scotty got on. I like it. You held that back from us in spring training, all spring. You didn't break it out till opening night. I like it.
Well, Derek Bell certainly has a uniform wearing style, if you will, of the Mets medical staff, Fred Hina and Scott Lawrenson.
Derek Bell has that kimono look with that uniform. Right in the spirit of opening day in Tokyo.
Bottom half of the second inning, Mets trailing John Lieber and the Cubs 1-0. Robin Ventura looks at ball one high and away. Ventura, a monster season for the Mets last year. In fact, the best season of what has been an outstanding major league career for Ventura. 1-1.
Pretty much shoots holes in that theory that it takes a hitter a year to learn the pitchers in a new league. Robin Ventura didn't seem to have much trouble learning the pitchers in the National League last year.
Two balls and a strike.
He's a tremendous clutch hitter. The term is overused in the game nowadays as far as I'm concerned, but this guy definitely is a gamer. Injured his foot in the very first game of the season last year, played all year, coming off shoulder surgery. Had to take it easy in spring training this year, only was allowed to play defense the last 4 or 5 days of the exhibition schedule. But you know he's going to be in there 155, 160, maybe 162 games this year.
Hopper knocked down by Young. And again, a batter falls down coming out of the box. Ventura goes down as he was on his way to first. And he limps back towards the Mets' third base side dugout. This is not good.
Well, if it happens once or twice, maybe you attribute it to the batter trying to explode out of that box too quickly. But when every other hitter is slipping coming out of the box, obviously something needs to be done. I wouldn't be surprised if Randy Marsh, the home plate umpire, stops this game or perhaps between innings, calls the grounds crew out there and tries to do something to firm up that dirt around the home plate area.
Well, you certainly hope that Ventura is okay. You'd hate to see any player from either team injured because, well, because the home plate area, quite frankly, is not up to major league standards.
As I said, it's quite apparent that it's not just a player or two. Almost every hitter has stumbled or slipped coming out of that batter's box. Ventura, the worst, actually went all the way down to the ground.
Derek Bell, a big-time question mark for the New York Mets. He knocked in 108 runs 2 years ago, really struggled last year. Popped up in a shallow right center, and Young goes out to get it. 2 up, 2 down in the New York second inning. Bell in the last year of his contract, and the Mets are banking that the real Derek Bell was 1998 and not 1999.
Well, it remains to be seen. Derek Bell was very close to his former hitting instructor with the Houston Astros, Tom McCraw. Tom McCraw was on the shelf for a while, battling cancer. Harry Spillman came in to take over as a hitting instructor. Derek Bell's numbers went down. He said he missed that relationship he had with Tom McCraw. Working with Tom Robson, the new hitting coach that he has this year with the Mets, it remains to be seen what kind of a relationship the coach and player will develop.
Todd Seal has big shoes to fill as well. John Olerud elected to go back to his native land, if you will, the great Northwest, where he grew up in Washington. He signed as a free agent with the Mariners. The Mets did just about everything they could to keep him. But they brought in Seal, and he is a solid player.
He puts up consistent numbers every year. A guy like Todd Seal, Eric Karras, another player that comes to mind. You can write down their numbers the first day of spring training. 90 or more RBIs each of the last 4 years. He's always around 20 to 25 homers.
But he comes up empty against Lieber. 1-2-3 inning. Lots of problems around the plate.
Hey, Guy. Hi there. Welcome to HIMS.
Should have done it years ago, and I feel like the young stud that I always imagined I was.
Outstanding product. Works above and beyond our expectations.
This has been a life changer, even in just a few weeks.
Featured in GQ, Playboy, and Men's Health. Find out what all the buzz is about.
Go to forhims.com/ed and get started with a free online visit while supplies last.
Attention, guardians of the grass, navigators of the turf, and keepers of the green. To the mowers of Green Acres, rural ramblers, and back to the landers. Whether you saddle up or buckle down, run with us. For all the head turners, stripe burners, and time crunchers. To the kid corrallers, grill masters, and all those who ride faster, run with us on a John Deere mower. Because this is more than just grass, it's home. Nothing runs like a deer. Search John Deere mowers for more.
If your shirt isn't tucked into your pants, are your pants tucked into your shirt?
When you're getting big-time results from your Constant Contact emails, it's okay to let your mind wander. Try email and our new website builder, free.
These are uncertain times, but we at First Midwest Bank remain strong, remain committed to our clients, to our communities. And we want those who are uncertain in these uncertain times to know that even though we currently all need to stay apart, we are all in this together. First Midwest Bank.
I'm cooking tonight. You know what that means. Going to White Castle for the 3 for $3 deal. For a limited time, choose 3 sliders from 4 delicious options, including new panko breaded fish at White Castle.
Back at the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, the Cubs lead the Mets 1-0. Chip Caray joined by the Commissioner of Baseball, Bud Selig. Mr. Commissioner, first of all, congratulations on this historic night in Japan. Your feelings on what you've seen this week?
Well, it is historic, Chip. This has been a wonderful week. I know that you're never quite certain how things are going to come out, but just to be here and watch the passion and the interest, and it's just a wonderful experience. In fact, when I was walking out in the field with Hank Aaron and Don Fehr, Hank said to me on the way out, "Would you have ever believed we'd be here?" I mean, it's a great night for baseball. Who would have ever thought we'd be opening the season in Tokyo? And everything just couldn't have been better all week long. They've been wonderful hosts, and I know the teams have enjoyed it. The internationalization of our sport will continue, because this is really, the more you're around, you know this is absolutely the right thing to do.
You know, regular opening day, of course, will be April 3rd back in the States. In a thumbnail, can you give us the state of the game for the year 2000 now?
Well, you know, we're in the midst, Chip, of a remarkable renaissance. I believe by any objective criteria, the game has never been more popular. We'll set another all-time attendance record. Next week, we're going to open 3 new ballparks in San Francisco and in Houston and in Detroit. And so the year, when you look at the divisions, the races look like they're going to be extremely competitive. I think 2000 is going to be a spectacular year. I really, and it's a great way to start it.
There are a lot of issues still confronting the game of baseball. The umpiring situation is going to be new, the possibility of realignment. What concerns you with the game of baseball at this time?
Well, you know, in the midst of this renaissance and its great popularity, there's no question about it. Most of these issues I think we can work our way through. Clearly the issue of disparity and the economics of the game are something I spend a great deal of my time on, and we'll get it done. We have a lot of work to do, and there's no question that there are those problems, and they do exist. And it's paradoxical because here you are in the midst of this tremendous popularity, but we have some problems that need to be solved, but we will solve them.
Hopefully we can solve that situation at home plate. A little bit tough in the batter's box at this point.
Well, they're having a tough time getting out of it, and they need to work in the dirt a little bit.
But enjoy the night. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chip. Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. Tommy, Bobby, back to you.
Thank you very much, Chip. Great to have the commissioner with us right here on Fox Sports Net. And certainly baseball very much basking in the glory of this two-game series. I know there's been a lot of talk about, you know, the jet lag. How will the teams be affected when they return back to the United States? But this is so great for the international game. One away in the Chicago third. Cubs lead Mike Hampton and the Mets 1-0. Young drew a walk to begin the game, stole second, and scored on a single to right by Damon Buford. Well, we've got it all for you in Japanese and in English.
Can you read that top line?
No problem. It's 1-0. Ground ball to Ordonez. 2 away. I mean, come on, can't you read that? Right across the top. There you see the innings.
How about the second line?
No problem. 1 run, 1 hit, and no errors for Chicago. And 0-1-0 the totals for the Mets. No problem. That's what I'm reading.
Oh, sure you are. Tell you, it's baffling to me how these people write this language. I played winter ball. I've been to the Dominican Republic. I've been to Venezuela. I eventually picked up some Spanish, enough to communicate and get by. I'm not so sure if I could stay here long enough to pick up this language, but the people have been so cooperative trying to help that they see the confused look on my face when I'm out on the streets, and they have been very helpful, pointing us to the right subways, the right trains, the right buses, and it's just been a wonderful experience, but I don't believe I'll ever be able to write or read that.
Damon Buford, his father Don, played professionally here in Japan. Of course, also played Major League Baseball with, among others, the Baltimore Orioles. And there's a strike on the outside corner.
Well, this has been a place a lot of American major leaguers have come either to extend their career a couple more years or make some changes. Come over here and work on your game, perhaps learn a new pitch, try to refine some aspect of your game.
Foul up the left field line, 3-2 to Buford. Well, some familiar names and faces have spent time in Japan. Cecil Fielder, the Goose Gossage, perhaps the best known Hideo Nomo. Banning Jesse Barfield, who also played over here.
Well, Cecil Fielder comes to mind immediately. Could not hit a breaking ball in his days with the Toronto Blue Jays. Came over here to Japan, where the pitchers feature a lot of off-speed pitches. Cecil Fielder came back to the States and just tore it up.
Yeah. Third walk of the game issued by Mike Hampton. Some of the U.S. stars and what they've done here in Japan. Randy Bass, a triple crown back-to-back years in 85 and 86. At batting average, a Japanese league record. Boomer Wells, and no, that's not David Wells, won 4 batting titles. Taken high as Buford fakes taking off for second base. And then Laurent and Leon Lee combined for 551 home runs. Not a bad tag team right there.
Not bad at all.
To Grace, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Hampton missing a lot high here in the first 3 innings,
which is very rare for Mike Hampton. Generally, when he misses the zone or when he misses his spots, they're pitches that are down low out of the strike zone. swinging a lot of breaking balls up high in the zone. That cut fastball just not able to get it down where he'd like.
3-0 to Grace. Saw a moment ago he came over with the Major League All-Stars in their tour of Japan and does what he normally does, and that's just hit.
This guy is truly amazing. The all-time hits leader for the 90s.
Pitch taken up and in. Ball 4. 4 walks through the first 2 2/3 innings by Mike Hampton, and Dave Wallace, the New York pitching coach, will come out and check with his newly acquired ace.
And we see Mike Hampton digging around out there on the Tokyo Dome mound. I think the players are a little bothered by the surface, particularly the pitchers and the batters. Hampton racking up a high pitch count already in the ball game. You see there 59 pitches through the early part of this game. Generally, Hampton works a lot like John Lieber. They want to get the ball, throw it over the plate, get ahead of the batter, force them to put the ball in play, let the defense work behind them, and get back in that dugout and let their batters go to work.
Slammin' Sammy undoubtedly will reach 7 years of 30 or more home runs before this 2000 season is over. The Cubs have given John Lieber a 1-0 lead. They have 2 on with 2 out, and Sosa looks at a strike. Sammy bounced into a 6-4-3 double play in the first inning.
Well, much was made of Don Baylor's comments going into spring training that he wanted to see Sammy be more of a complete player, refine the other parts of his game, his defense, his base running, his base stealing. Not worry so much about just going up there and whirly-birding, trying to hit every pitch out of the ballpark. If a pitcher makes a mistake, Sammy Sosa is going to hit it out of the ballpark. Take the singles, take the doubles, get on base, set the table for your teammates. If the guy makes a mistake, go ahead and hit it in the seats.
2 on, 2 out, 1-0 Cubs, and the 1-1 to Sosa is down and in. If you weren't with us, Hampton has owned Sosa during their respective careers. The last 2 seasons, and Sosa has been hitting home run after home run, has not hit a home run the last 2 years against Mike Hampton. 3 balls and a strike and a hitter's count coming up. Rodriguez would be next. He'd like to come up there with the bases empty. 3-1 on the way, and Sosa takes the walk.
Sammy's such a fun guy to talk to, and we asked Sammy, how would you pitch to yourself?
Well, I've been thinking about it first, because I don't want to make no mistake. Even myself, even Mark or Griffin, and pretty much, I don't know, I might walk a couple of times, I might go at it, I don't know.
All Sammy knows about pitching is he likes to whack at it.
Hampton has walked, the bases loaded, and Rodriguez swings at the first pitch and pops it up. That will retire the side. The Cubs leave the bases loaded. We move to the last of the third. 1-0 Chicago.
Do you have concerns about mild memory loss related to aging? Prevagen is the #1 pharmacist-recommended memory support brand. You can find it in the vitamin aisle in stores everywhere. Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Well, this is overwhelming. Where to start? Listen to celebrity decorators with their $1 million budgets and enormous staff? That's realistic. Or just step into a store. Oh, no. There's a better way. You've skimmed catalogs. You've browsed through blogs. You know what you like when you see it. Artful contemporary, Scandinavian minimalism, organic modern. You know what you want. Overstock's where you find it. Now let's get to work. A sofa, a floor lamp, an area rug. Never forget the area rug. Everything you need with free shipping every day. Easy, right? Getting it done with Overstock, where quality costs less.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover their unique mix of all kinds of traits.
Where'd Wiley go? Where's Wiley?
Ah, there she is. Pa?
Do you remember being an ancient wolf? Do you ever feel the call of the wild?
You're a renegade cop, and I'm a con woman with nothing to prove. But together, we could really solve this murder.
They're a little bit of a lot of things. But all of them are pure love.
Unexpectedly, she had to do open heart surgery. It was definitely a tense time. It was good to just come here and feel a little normal and to get a nice hot meal and like a nice warm bed.
Helps you bring strength to your family.
No matter what's ahead, I know that Ronald McDonald House will be there for us. They're like family, so they'll take care of us.
You're watching the Cubs and Mets open the 2000 season in Japan. Let's relive it together.
Our first international incident, if you will, Mr. Brennan. The grounds crew, on a serious note, getting to work to make sure all is well.
Well, they're raking away some of the loose dirt, and you can see them pounding the dirt back down, trying to firm up that batter's box, give those hitters a little better footing coming out of the box.
Let's go downstairs to Chip Carey.
All right, Tom and Bob, thank you very much. The home plate area, quite obviously, is very soft, very sandy. The plan for Major League Baseball right now is to rake and pound the batter's box every half inning. Talking with Eric Young of the Cubs, he said it's very slippery, very dangerous. Baseball's monitoring the situation. Hopefully nobody's going to get hurt. Let's send it back to you upstairs.
Well, it shouldn't catch anybody by surprise at this point, and I'm sure that Bobby Valentine for the Mets and Don Baylor for the Cubs has warned their hitters as they go to the plate, keep your feet under you coming out of the batter's box. Perhaps you lose a half a step going down that first baseline, but better to lose a half a step here than to lose 14 days on the disabled list when you get back to the States.
John Lieber has been terrific through the first 2 innings. He's allowed 1 hit. He has struck out a batter, not walked anybody. Strike 1 to Ray Ordonez. Ordonez, a .258 hitter a season ago, knocked in 60 runs. He hammers that ball off the glove of Andrews, and it's into left field, a base hit.
Shane Andrews was drawn in several feet in front of the line at third base, and Ray Ordonez just drove that ball right through Shane Andrews. Ordonez really rounding out as a player, was known as strictly a leather man early in his career. As you mentioned, career highs last year offensively, and the Mets are hoping he continues to get better.
And this guy can hit. You saw those numbers, Hampton. A .311 batter a season ago. He became the first pitcher to win 20 games and hit at least 300 in the same season since Catfish Hunter. And a perfect bunt. Fielded by Girardi, give Hampton a sacrifice. Advancing a tying run, Ordonez to second base.
See good form by Hampton, gets the bat above the ball to make sure it's going to go down. However, he dropped the barrel of the bat as the ball got into the hitting zone and popped it up. He's very fortunate this ball was not caught. If he had kept the bat level at the top of the strike zone where he had it to begin with and dropped the entire bat down parallel to the ground, he probably would have bunted it on the ground, but he dropped the barrel only, causing him to pop the ball up in the air.
Tying run is Ray Ordonez at second base, 1 out. And here comes Ricky Henderson. Henderson on the first pitch in the bottom of the first inning popped up down the left field line to Henry Rodriguez.
Let's take a look at that bunt by Mike Hampton. You can see he's got the barrel of the bat up. It's level right there. That's pretty good position right there to put down a sacrifice bunt. But as the ball gets into the hitting area, you saw the barrel of the bat drop down underneath the ball. You have to come down with both hands and keep that bat at the angle you want it.
Henderson looks at a strike, 1-1 to Major League Baseball's all-time stolen base leader, 5th all-time in runs scored, 3rd all-time in walks. A lead pipe cinch first ballot Hall of Famer. 2 balls and a strike. 41 years old, born on Christmas Day, 1958. and he can still get it done.
I know you get some argument from baseball people, but for my money, the greatest leadoff hitter to ever play this game. Combination of speed, power, and a little bit of flair.
Oh, yeah. Drilled into left field, a base hit. Ordonez had to wait to see if the ball would be caught, so he advances only to third.
And now the show begins. Ricky Henderson on at first base. He said he wasn't running much in spring training. Didn't run at all in the exhibition games that the Mets played here. As we get a look at Ordonez as he takes his secondary lead off the bag, had to wait momentarily to make sure that line drive got through into the outfield before advancing to third base. Mentioned Ricky hasn't been running a lot in spring, but watch him tonight.
Ricky made a promise during a telecast of the exhibition game 2 nights ago on Japanese television that he was saving his running for the fans in Japan, and that starts tonight. Darrell Hamilton bounced out to Lieber in the first inning. And it's ball 1 high and away.
See, the career steals the record in Japan.
Go ahead and try that name, big boy.
Yutaka Fukamoto.
Very nice.
Now Ricky will try to time John Lieber, try to get an idea of when he's going to deliver that ball to home plate, and hopefully for Ricky, get what they call a walking lead, have some momentum going towards second base.
That was almost a disaster for all parties concerned right there. Henderson had come back to the bag. Apparently it asked Angel Hernandez, you see the umpire behind him, for timeout. Nobody else knew it, including Lieber, who was already in the pause in his stretch. The 1-0 to Hamilton. In the air, foul ground up the left field line. Andrews a long run, and he won't get to it.
A lot of foul territory here at the Tokyo Dome, not only between the bases, but down the left and right field lines. Considerably more foul territory than you'll see in most of the American ballparks. A long run for Andrews and Henry Rodriguez. No chance to catch up with that little humpback pop-up.
Jam-packed Tokyo Dome. Tokyo, Japan. This historical season opening series to begin the new millennium for Major League Baseball, and a good ball game. 1-0 Chicago, last of the third. 2 on, 1 out. And the 1-1 to Darrell Hamilton on the way. Again, he fights it off, and this one will drop out of play. So Lieber hoping for the strikeout.
Stands full of baseball fans here at the Tokyo Dome, as they have been for the exhibition games preceding this Major League Baseball season opener. It's just odd to be in this country and walk down the streets and see people wearing Cubs hats, Mets hats. Saw a Cardinals hat out on the street today, a Diamondbacks hat. They love their baseball.
1-2 on Hamilton. Henderson sent back to the bag. Lieber, we mentioned, very much a strikeout pitcher. 186 of those a season ago, 8th most in the league. There's a young Yankee fan. Another cap is seen. One-two to Hamilton. Henderson running, and it's in the air, left field. This should bring in the tying run. Ordonez tags. Rodriguez throws, and it's not going to be in time. Hamilton, the sac fly run batted in. 1-1.
Well, Henry Rodriguez made that play closer than I thought it was initially going to be. Rodriguez not known for his throwing arm, but he got himself in pretty good position. Was able to move into the ball. We'll get a look as Ricky is running on the play. Ray Ordonez goes back to tag. You can see Rodriguez had his momentum coming toward the plate. Uncorks a pretty good throw, just too far into foul territory for Joe Girardi to get back and apply a tag.
Well, I'm with you. We haven't seen Rodriguez make that good of a throw in a couple of years.
Well, you don't really have to have a great arm in the outfield if you do things correctly. We talked about Don Baylor and the emphasis on fundamentals this spring. Outfielders can get themselves in a proper position so that their momentum is carrying them towards their target. It'll make up for a lot of weakness in the arm if you get your body into a good position.
1-1 ball game. Henderson at first, 2 away. We're in the last of the third inning.
And as we said, Ricky was running on that pitch that was flied into left field by Darrell Hamilton, and now with 2 outs in the inning, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ricky smile first and then try to steal second.
Alfonso is on the outside corner of strike. A lot of trade rumors involving Henderson, even now, about the possibility of Ricky going to Detroit in exchange for left-handed hitting outfielder Bobby Higginson. Higginson had a couple of terrific years and then really slumped last season. It's hard to envision this Mets team with aspirations of the postseason without Ricky Henderson at the top of their lineup.
Well, very little speed up and down the lineup other than Ricky Henderson and Darryl Hamilton to a certain extent. Not an explosive base stealer, but you have to have that guy at the leadoff spot to make things happen. A guy like Ricky gets on base, he draws the attention of the pitcher. Fall behind the following hitters, perhaps they get a better pitch to hit than they normally would.
Check swing, and Alfonso went too far.
No, Ricky said, if you're going to trade me, do it before we leave for Japan.
Right, he said he doesn't want to be left over here. One ball, 2 strikes on Edgardo Alfonso. And again, Henderson back standing up.
You can see Ricky's style. He gets out there very near the end of that dirt strip at round first base, and he'll have both feet together. And then as Lieber goes into his set position, see Ricky's got both feet together right there, waiting for Lieber to go into his set position. And as he does, he's trying to time it and take that last step out there onto the turf, get his momentum moving towards second base to make it easier to steal the bag. Ricky has always been one of the harder head-first sliders in the game. Has done it throughout his career. Miraculously has avoided major injuries, but really accelerates into his head-first slide.
There he goes. Swing and a miss, it doesn't matter. But the Mets tie the game. RBI sac fly by Darryl Hamilton, and the grounds crew will get back to work. This will be the story the rest of the night. 1-1 as we move to the 4th in Tokyo.
Hey Cub fans, Ryan Dempster here. Unfortunately, we're not playing baseball, but what we have is memories of opening day. I know I have a lot of them. My favorite memory of opening day as a Chicago Cub was 2008, down 3-0 in the bottom of the 9th inning when Kosuke Fukudome hit a 3-run homer off Eric Gagne to bring us back and tie the game in the bottom of the 9th. Absolutely incredible. A special moment and a memory that will last a lifetime.
Domino's has contactless delivery, so you can safely get pizza even while you stay indoors. Just take those old records off the shelf. Choose contactless delivery next time you get 2 or more medium 2-topping pizzas for $5.99 each from Domino's.
Why does round pizza come in a square box?
Constant Contact makes it so easy to send emails. You'll have time to let your mind wander. Try email and our new website builder free.
As we work to get through these times together, you may not be thinking about blood donation. But blood is desperately needed now to save lives of people who are sick with a range of serious illnesses. It's easy and safe to give. If you are in good health, please donate. We need heroes now. Visit redcrossblood.org to schedule an appointment.
Every weekday night, tune into the stadium.
Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred wants to play as many games as possible as soon as possible.
If this 2020 Cubs team wants to get back to where they were at 2016, I think David Ross is going to be the right guy to lead them there.
The United Center is converting into an area for food distribution and a collection area for medical supplies. Marquee Sports Network will bring you every sim game until real baseball returns.
The stadium, weeknights at 6:30 on Marquee Sports Network.
1-1 ball game, opening night of the Major League Baseball season. The Cubs and the Mets. Well, we've talked time and time again about the great ties baseball and the country of Japan. Babe Ruth came over here in 1931, and baseball began to reach a fever pitch in this country. 4 years later, and prompted the start of the professional Japanese league. Many people believe here it was directly because of Babe Ruth.
Well, tremendous ambassador for the game of baseball in his day, much like Sammy Sosa is for the game of baseball today. Tell you what, though, I would have liked to followed Babe Ruth around the streets of Tokyo for a couple days. I bet that was interesting.
Whoa. Wow. Shane Andrews, Jose Nieves, Joe Girardi due up for the Cubs against Mike Hampton. The 22-game winner a season ago came over in a trade from the Astros. 27-year-old native of Crystal River, Florida. He's only allowed 1 hit, but he has walked 5 batters in the game.
And he starts Shane Andrews with a big overhand curveball, a pitch that he's used very sparingly to this point of the game. You see the 5 walks. He averaged only 3 per 9 innings last year. I'm sure that a certain amount of Mike Hampton's wildness can be attributed to the mound. We talked they're having some problems out on the mound as well as the home plate area, but also maybe a little bit of nerves. I mean, for crying out loud, I certainly understand it.
Fisted into right. It'll fall in, a base hit. Well, while we have a moment, let's go back downstairs to Chip Carey.
All right, Tommy, that agronomy major sure has paid off so far here at the Tokyo Dome. I talked with the head's groundskeeper just a few moments ago. He said the dirt on the base paths and at home plate is sufficient for a Japanese league ball game, but the players were complaining about the status of the mound, the base paths, and the batter's box. So last night they started adding some clay like they have in the major league stadiums back home. However, the groundskeeper said that 1 day is not sufficient enough for that to really settle in and get very firm, so they're going to keep pounding it out, and hopefully things will progress nicely the rest of the night.
Great to have Chip Carey with us here tonight. He'll be handling all the play-by-play in innings 5, 6, and 7. Terrific voice of the Chicago Cubs. And he has a very much an interested spectator watching right now back in Chicago. There are many undoubtedly watching in Chicago, but at Harry Carey's restaurant outside in Rosemont, Illinois, on the ground, hit and run, done to perfection by Nieves, base hit into right center field. And advancing on to third is Andrews.
It's exactly what Don Baylor told us before the ball game. Shane Andrews is not the kind of guy that's going to straight steal a base, but he gets him in motion. It opens a hole on the right side of the field as Edgardo Alfonso broke to cover the bag. Nieves a nice job staying inside the ball and just guiding it through that hole on the right side. Very nearly found that gap. That, of course, would have scored Andrews and been an extra base hit and really set the table for a big inning for the Cubs. And when you don't have a lot of speed in your lineup, rather than sit back and wait for a big inning, I agree with Don Baylor. Get the players moving, get everybody involved. Makes it a little bit easier for that hitter to find a hole in the infield if that runner's on the move.
And don't be surprised if something might be happening right here with Joe Girardi at the plate.
Joe Girardi, a tremendous handler of the bat, good bunter. Opening day starting catcher for the 8th straight season with 3 different teams. Mentioned the Yankees earlier, the Colorado Rockies, and now the Chicago Cubs for the 2nd time around.
Runners on the corners, nobody out. And Girardi takes high. 2 balls, no strikes. And just to finish that thought, Dutchie Carey, the wife of the late, great, and our dear friend Harry Carey, Chip Carey's grandfather, will be singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game from Harry Carey's restaurant right here on Fox Sports Net come the middle of the 7th. Dutchie, hope you're doing well. What a great lady. Fouled back. 2 balls and a strike to Girardi.
Joe Girardi in a good hitter's count there, 2-0. And Don Baylor's a hitter first and foremost. He was a tremendous hitter throughout his career, and he realizes that if he's got a hitter at the plate with an advantage against that opposing pitcher, turn him loose. Now you may see a little hit and run, maybe a squeeze play. Who knows? I mentioned Joe Girardi can bunt the ball very well.
So the pitcher is on deck. That one in the dirt, and the runner's going to advance. Piazza smothered it, but just couldn't field the ball cleanly. Not that you expect any catcher to field a ball in the dirt cleanly. On to second base goes Nieves.
And we touched on it briefly earlier. The area around home plate that gets dug up. You see that ball just hit him in the heel of the glove. Not great position to block that ball, but it just skittered far enough away to allow Nieves, who was heads up at first base. He got a very good read on that ball in the dirt, was breaking for second base as that ball was hitting in the dirt.
Well, they're going to pitch to Girardi with first base open, a 3-1 count. He nearly made him pay along with his teammate. Oh, that was scary.
Shane Andrews leading off in foul territory down that third baseline, and Joe Girardi very nearly took his head off with that screaming line drive. put that ear flap on the other side as you're coming down that third baseline. Of course, that's why the runners lead off in foul territory. Had that ball struck Shane Andrews in foul territory, it would have been a foul ball. If Andrews is in fair territory, he would have been ruled out. Boy, Girardi really turning on that fastball. Joe Girardi is not what I would call a pull hitter. And once again, had the count in his favor, was looking for one pitch, got it, and really hit it with authority. Unfortunately for him, foul.
Cubs trying to recapture the lead, and it's ball 4, high and away. The Cubs have the bases loaded with nobody out. 6th walk of the game issued by Hampton. If you're wondering at home, is anybody getting loose in the Mets bullpen? Well, that's news to us as well. The bullpens are underneath the stadium.
I thought there was something different. There's no bullpens here.
Lieber, a 121 hitter a season ago with 2 runs batted in. Outside and low, ball 1. Lieber hit a fly ball quite well into left center field, caught by Hamilton his first time up. Andrews, Nieves, Girardi aboard with none out. A ball, a strike. Well, you ask and you shall receive.
Pat Mahomes, the right-hander. Rich Rodriguez, the left-hander, beginning to crank it up down underneath the stadium in that Mets bullpen.
Boy, our Fox Sports Net cameras are everywhere.
Well, I know they must have a monitor down there. Otherwise, how would they know what's going on in the game?
Fouled out of play. 1 and 2 now to Lieber. And both dugouts, incidentally, do have monitors that show the other team's bullpen and what's going on down there. Hampton needing a strikeout or the ground ball double play here. The Cubs have them loaded with nobody out. And the 1-2 to Lieber. Fouled away.
Well, this is where somebody on the Cubs bench is probably yelling at John Lieber right now. If you feel like you're going to hit into a double play, strike out.
Right.
Of course, it's not that easy, but that's the sentiment right now for Don Baylor. Geez, I'd sure like to see you get a base hit, but I'd hate to see that ground ball at Ray Ordonez. So if you feel like you're going to hit a ground ball at somebody, go ahead and strike out. Come on back, put the jacket on, let the top of the order go to work.
1 and 2 again, pitcher versus pitcher, and Lieber able to hang in there. Puts the bat on the ball and fouls it out of play.
Well, he's been able to hang in there on a couple of slow breaking balls from Mike Hampton. Maybe time to go up the ladder with a fastball. Most pitchers have a little trouble hitting that high fastball, and Lieber obviously very much in a defensive mode up there at the plate. Might just chase a bad pitch up high out of the zone.
Hampton on the ropes here in the 4th inning. Bases loaded with nobody out. 1-2 to Lieber. Missed down and away.
Very uncharacteristic Mike Hampton. He just doesn't seem to be able to find a comfortable release point. He's missed high, he's missed low, missed inside, outside. No real rhyme, no reason. I mean, many times you can point out a mechanical problem and correct it and get back into the strike zone.
Strike 3 called. A fastball paints the outside corner. First out in the inning for Mike Hampton. On his first strikeout of the game.
Good pitch on the outside corner. You'll see Lieber bailing out. Watch the front side of his body go down that first base line. The rear end is not real anxious to stay in there, and Hampton takes advantage and throws him a fastball on the outside corner, and Lieber just cannot react in time.
So now it'll be Eric Young. Bases loaded, 1 away. And Young looks at a strike. Good pitch here by Hampton on the inside corner. Obviously, Young runs extremely well. Very difficult to double up Eric Young.
And particularly with Joe Girardi, the runner at first base, getting a big lead off, a very aggressive slider into second base.
Well, this could be a double play. There's one. Piazza's throw, and that's a double play. A comebacker to the mound. Hampton feeds Piazza, and a good exchange. Piazza to Zeal, not an easy play on either end.
The ball chopped out in front of plate. Hampton with a nice play, a pirouette. The toss to Piazza, the relay to first.
We stay tied at 1.
We got one of those new purple mattresses, and it is amazing. You have to try it.
Oh, this doesn't feel like memory foam.
No.
This feels amazing.
Right?
What is it?
Actually, it's called Purple, and it's a completely unique comfort technology, meticulously designed to cradle and support the human body.
Cool.
Spring into big savings with Purple's spring sale. Visit purple.com/TV today.
You might take something for your heart, your joints, or your digestion. So why wouldn't you take something for the most important part of you, your brain? With an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish, Prevagen has been shown in clinical trials to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Though human ingenuity will continue to make various inventions, with the help of new machines built to do the same, of this I am certain: no invention will ever be devised that is more beautiful, more simple, and more purposeful than those that nature designs, proud server of the most advanced machine on Earth.
There's never been a better time to have a favorite food. With new Grubhub Plus, you get unlimited free delivery and cashback rewards for ordering noodles. And noodles. And noodles. And noodles. Grubhub Plus, free delivery, cashback, and noodles.
I'm Wilson Contreras.
I'm Kyle Schwarber.
I'm Albert Almora Jr.
Catch all the Cubs games on Marquee Sports Network.
Mike Piazza, look at that batting average. Our Toyota leaders, top averages in the 90s, second only to Tony Gwynn. He's down a strike. You know, Bobby, I mean, Piazza's an easy target for a lot of people. He's a great star in baseball. He's a good-looking guy. He's very articulate. He's fun to be around. I mean, he's got it all. But one thing he doesn't get enough credit for, this guy is just a tireless worker. That ball smoked into left center field, a base hit. But, I mean, the amount of time that this guy puts in trying to better his game, whether it's hitting, whether it's behind the plate, one of the hardest working guys in baseball.
And this is one of the hardest hit balls you will ever see that doesn't leave a ballpark. Tremendous extension into the zone. Great follow through the head right down the barrel of the bat. Follows the ball all the way to contact, keeps his head down all the way through follow through. I would not want to get in front of that line drive right there. I mean, that got out there to Henry Rodriguez on 2 hops and almost knocked his glove off, and he's standing about 360 feet away.
In the air, straight away center off the bat of Robin Ventura. And Piazza retreats back to first base, 1 away in the inning. You saw that graphic a moment ago. Piazza lasted nearly 1,400 picks coming out of college. So everybody dropped the ball on this guy.
Well, they say scouting is an inexact science. I guess that is proof right there. I still have to agree somewhat with the people that say Piazza would be better served with a position. I understand his willingness to go back there. I understand his desire to be a leader from behind the plate. But offensive players of his caliber come along so rarely in this game. Anything that will extend his career as an offensive threat, I think, is something that should be done. But yeah, Mike Piazza is a very strong, very stubborn man. He wants to be behind the plate, and I will never fault a man for wanting to put those tools on.
Well, there's a lot of talk when Olerud left before they brought Zeal on board that would they go ahead and make that change and move Mike Piazza to first base. It's a fly ball into short right. It's going to fall in for a hit. Piazza advancing on to second. Derek Bell, his first hit in a New York Mets uniform.
A little floater into right field in front of Sammy Sosa. Watch, this ball does not bounce very high off the AstroTurf. The players were amazed when they first came into the Tokyo Dome. As you walk on this artificial surface, it feels like very springy AstroTurf. But talking to the infielders, talking to the outfielders before the ball game, they say the ball does not bounce high off the turf. Perfect example right there. That ball barely got up to head high on Sammy Sosa.
Well, we asked Darrell Hamilton about this AstroTurf in the Tokyo Dome.
We worked out here a couple days ago. It's a little different. It looks spongy, but looks are deceiving. The ball stays on the ground pretty much the whole time, and I was surprised that because usually turf fields, it's bouncing all over the place.
Todd Zeile looks at a strike.
And that certainly changes the way that the outfielders will charge balls like that one hit in front of Sammy Sosa. Generally in the States, especially on a hot, humid day, you'll see the outfielder lay back 50 feet behind that ball to make sure it doesn't bounce over their head. But that ball reacted much like a ball bouncing off a natural grass field.
2 on, 1 out for Zeile. Swing and a miss. Lieber threw that one right by him. No balls and 2 strikes to Zeile.
Take one more look at the bounce. A lot of English on that ball. You see it kind of checks up toward the foul line and still spinning as it hits Sammy's glove and bounces down to the turf once again, but didn't get far enough away.
0-2 to Zeile, and he fouls it back to the screen.
And you can see even on the 0-2 count, John Lieber coming right down the heart of the plate with a little bit of movement, trying to get Todd Zeile to put the ball in play to his defense and get out of this inning with as few pitches as he can throw as possible.
Well, Lieber's not afraid. He'll challenge him.
Absolutely, and he's got good enough stuff to do that as long as he keeps the ball down in the strike zone.
Piazza at second, Bell at first, and that one just off the outside corner and low.
Oscar Acosta, I beg your pardon, the pitching coach for the Cubs this year, was the pitching coach for Kerry Wood as he came up through the minor league system of the Chicago Cubs. Has a very good working relationship with Kerry Wood, and of course the Cubs and the Cubs fans are anxiously awaiting the return of the big right-hander.
And we asked Don Baylor about it again before the game today. He said, look, I said June because that's a very cautious approach. We're not going to do anything with Kerry Wood until the doctors say, cool, he's ready to roll, no problems. And that's the case so far for Wood, but they're bringing him along slowly but surely. Well, we're all rooting for that guy to come back.
Oh, he was great for the game of baseball last year. A lot of fun to watch.
1-2. Zeile pops it up into foul ground. Grace will chase it, and it's fouled out of play. Well, outside of Baylor coming over and joining the Cubs as the manager, the focal point in Mesa, Arizona all spring, the progress of Kerry Wood.
And I mean, every side session that he threw, every spring training pitch that he threw was closely monitored, not only by the Cubs staff, by the medical staff, and of course by Cubs fans all around the world. Don Baylor said it himself, I've forgotten what a good fastball sounded like.
And there are no problems with Wood's fastball, clocked 97, 98 miles per hour. And that pitching staff needs him back. Along with Ismael Valdez, a scheduled opening day starter, a little tendonitis in his shoulder. Fastball inside to Zeile, 2-2. They expect to have Valdez back by the second or third week in April. They get those 2 guys back. It's a solid starting rotation to go with John Lieber, Kevin Tapani, and Kyle Farnsworth, the youngster who starts tomorrow night. 2-2 to Zeile. Just missed.
Well, I don't believe there are any teams in the major leagues that could afford to lose your number 1 and 2 pitcher and really feel very good going into the regular season. But the Cubs are hoping, as you mentioned, to get Woods back quickly. Valdez hopefully back quickly. And when the Cubs have those guys in place, their rotation, very representative, should be able to compete with everybody in their division.
3-2 to Zeile. Pickoff attempt at second, and Piazza saw it coming. One run, 3 hits for the Cubs. 1 run, 5 hits for New York. The Cubs have the bases loaded with nobody out in the top of the 4th inning and failed to score. The Mets are trying to get their first lead of the game here in the bottom of the inning. Runners go, and Zeile lets a fly ball into right center. Plenty of room for Buford. 2 down, and Piazza tagging up. He's coming to third. Here's the throw, and it's not in time. Good base running there by Mike Piazza.
Great base running and great hustle. As you mentioned, the runners were on the move. Piazza was about 2/3 of the way down to third base, saw the ball in the air. We're going to get a look at it here. He's on the move. Ball's in the air. That's deep enough. I think I can tag. He hustles back to the bag at second, tags up, hustles once again back into third base, and is able to get back in standing up as the throw is up the line away from the bag.
That'll win a few of the fans over last year that found a reason to boo Piazza on a pretty regular basis.
I was critical of Mike Piazza a couple of years ago when he was having contract problems with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He didn't run hard to first base on a fly ball to the outfield, and I said, if a guy's trying to get $100 million, I want to see him run 90 feet. And I will honestly say that's the only time I've ever seen Mike Piazza not run out of ball. That was more representative of what Mike Piazza is to a ball club, what we just saw on that play.
So now Ordonez, the number 8 hitter in the lineup, with Piazza at third. Derek Bell across the diamond at first in this 1-1 game. Lieber delivers, and it's outside and high, 2-0 with a pitcher, Hampton, on deck. But the way Hampton has pitched in the game, granted he got out of the jam in the fourth, but he's thrown a lot of pitches.
He really has thrown a lot of pitches. I mentioned no kind of limitations on Hampton or Lieber in this ball game. No pitch counts or anything like that. But by the same token, you don't want to send your ace out to the mound at first start of the year and have a high pitch count. Obviously laboring out there on the mound throughout this ball game. He's up to 79 pitches already in this game here in the fourth inning. And you've got a fresh bullpen. These guys down in the bullpen are anxiously looking for work as well.
To Ordonez, a strike on the outside corner.
And one thing that may weigh into Bobby Valentine's choice as to whether to allow Hampton to hit for himself or not is the fact he is a good hitter, as we mentioned earlier. A lot of pitchers can keep themselves in the ball game for a couple more innings if they're able to put the ball in play.
Runners on the corners with 2 away. And a fastball is inside on Ordonez. 3 balls and a strike. Well, Girardi went out to the mound after the 2-0 count, and obviously they made the decision that they're going after Ordonez. Wonder if that's changed on 3-1 as Girardi looks in.
They seem taking a look over to the Cubs dugout there just to make sure they're all on the same page. This pitch will determine. It looks like a sinker inside. A nice move by Joe Girardi there. We saw him set up inside on Ray Ordonez, knowing that John Lieber was going to throw a pickoff attempt to first base. If that batter happens to take a peek back there to see where the catcher set up, he sees Joe Girardi set up on the inside corner. Let's see where he goes with this pitch. Back away.
And it's ball 4. First walk of the game issued by Lieber.
Some of that cat and mouse that goes on behind the scenes in the game of baseball. Girardi had called for the pickoff throw to first base. He knew there was not going to be a pitch delivered to home plate. He knew the next pitch was going to be delivered to the outside part, so he intentionally set up on the inside corner to try to decoy the batter.
Mike Hampton and Derek Bell joined this team during the offseason 2 days before Christmas, and what a Christmas present it was to New York Mets fans. Bases loaded with 2 away. Hampton looked to the strike. He knocked in a whopping 10 runs in the number 9 hole last season.
And Hampton really reflected the attitude of that entire Houston Astros ball club. Biggio and Bagwell, very aggressive gamers. And Mike Hampton, as I mentioned earlier, he could have been a position player.
6:30 in the morning in New York City, 5:30 in Chicago, 2:30 or 3:30 for those of you on the West Coast. Tom Brenneman, Bob Brenly, Chip Carey, our entire Fox Sports Net crew. 1-1 game in the 4th inning. Mets have the bases loaded, and Hampton may have broken his back. Nope, fouled it off up the first base line. He's still behind at 0-2.
You see Hampton with that big elbow guard on. He's a left-handed pitcher, but a right-handed hitter. His pitching arm is exposed to that pitcher out there, and a lot of pitchers are opposite hitters. Randy Johnson comes to mind immediately, and I think it's a good idea for the pitchers to wear that big old arm brace.
Bases loaded, and again Hampton able to fight it off. The Cubs struck first in the first against Hampton, who walked walked Eric Young to begin the game. Young stole second and scored on the first hit in the new millennium by Damon Buford. The Mets tied the game in the third inning. Singles by Ordonez, a sac bunt by Hampton, a single by Henderson, and a sac fly run batted in by Hamilton. That's where we stand in the fourth. As Hampton hanging around, fouls it out of play. It stays 0-2.
Much like a hitter, Mike Hampton just trying to foul off enough pitches to get John Lieber to make a mistake up in the strike zone where he can drive that ball through the infield. Try to drive in the go-ahead run. Oh, there's a guy that's been happy the last couple of days here in Japan. Big fan favorite, Bobby Valentine.
And it's a one-hopper. And what a play by Grace at first, and he'll take it to the bag to end the inning. Chip Carey will come on board and handle the play-by-play in the fifth. Look at this play with all the English on this ball by Grace. 4 gold gloves on his mantle at home. We remain tied at 1 in Tokyo.
Unexpectedly, she had to do open heart surgery. It was definitely a tense time. It was good to just come here and feel a little normal and to get a nice hot meal and like a nice warm bed.
Helps you bring strength to your family.
No matter what's ahead, I know that Ronald McDonald House will be there for us. They're like family, so they'll take care of us.
They say in life that timing is everything. How being in the right place at the wrong time can tragically change your life. Because a truck driver is texting or watching videos instead of paying attention. And when that happens, timing is more critical than ever to preserve the electronic evidence before it gets wiped away. If you're the victim of negligence, call one of the most successful and experienced injury lawyers around. Kenneth Allen Law Group. Call before your time runs out.
Weather's perfect. Family's all together.
And we switched to Geico, save money on our boat insurance.
How can it get any better than this?
Dad, I just caught a goldfish.
There's no goldfish in this lake.
Whoa.
It's pure gold. We're gonna be rich. We're gonna be rich!
It only gets better when you switch and save with Geico.
There's never been a better time to have a favorite food. With new Grubhub Plus, you get unlimited free delivery and cashback rewards for ordering noodles. And noodles. And noodles. And noodles. Grubhub Plus, free delivery, cashback, and noodles.
I had a husband who was my vision, but when he died, I knew I was in big trouble.
At care.com, search for lots of local caregivers who can help with meals, housekeeping, personal care, and more. It costs less than you think, and it's easy to pay. Care.com.
You're watching the Cubs and Mets open the 2000 season in Japan. Let's relive it together.
How about this ball game? A 1-1 affair. Mike Hampton has been wildly effective, and the Cubs have had all kinds of chances to score, but haven't been able to do it.
And Mike Hampton, like most of the Mets pitchers did last year, really relying on his defense behind him. 3 double plays to bail him out of those jams that he got in.
And what a play to help himself the last half inning. Erasing a bases-loaded threat by the Cubs in the fourth. So Damon Buford leads things off here in the fifth. Buford today has singled home the only Cub run. He's also walked, as you and Tom mentioned. Buford originally 7th in Don Baylor's batting order today, but with Ricky Gutierrez having the rib cage problem, Don shuffled his lineup, moves Buford into the number 2 hole in the Chicago lineup. How about that shot? Little rocket shot to the right side. Alfonso guessed right. The ball skidded to his left, and it's a leadoff base hit. So Buford's aboard here in the 5th inning. And friends, be sure and tune in tomorrow as Mike Piazza and the Mets take on Sammy Sosa and the Cubs in Game 2 of Opening Series 2000. All the action from the Big Egg in Tokyo, Japan can be seen only on Fox Sports Net. Check your local listings in your region for game time, and don't miss any of this historic action. Leadoff single for Damon Buford, and now the heart of the Cub order comes calling, and Mark Grace hits a shot to Derek Bell in right. And there's out number 1. The all-time hits leader in the decade of the 90s, Mark Grace, gives way now to Sammy Sosa.
Grace, a perfect guy to play hit and run with. And normally a guy that works deep in the count. I think perhaps Don Baylor was going to allow Mark Grace to work deep in the count, pick a pitch to hit. Grace got one he liked on the first one. Very rarely will Mark Grace chase that first pitch, but he did hit it hard. Unfortunately for him, right at the right fielder.
And here's a man who's real happy to see the regular season come. Sammy Sosa had another spectacular spring for the Cubs. It did end, however, for him in an 0-for-15 slide, and that has some of the fans here in Tokyo a little bit concerned about which Sammy Sosa they'll see in this two-game series.
Well, it's kind of similar to the batting practice that he took before the game today. His first 2 rounds, he hit about 30 ground balls to the left side of the infield. His last 3 rounds, he hit about 30 balls into the seats.
Outside to Sosa. 2 balls, no strikes.
You can be sure that Sammy won't get cheated, however. He brought that sign all the way from Wrigley Field.
We see a few of those on Chicago's north side, and look at the numbers for Sammy Sosa. 66 and 63.
That Central Division will be a lot of fun to watch this year.
The Reds, the Cardinals, the Cubs, don't forget the Astros, and Jeff Bagwell had better stock up on some of those new Major League Baseballs that are debuting here tonight with Bud Selig's signature on them. It's going to be the Homer Happy Central this year, the year 2000.
Everybody kind of forgets Jeff Bagwell in the talks about McGuire. As he's big here. He's all over the place.
Yes, he is. 2 balls and a strike. Swung late.
I started to mention people talk about Junior and Big Mac and Sammy in the home run race. Jeff Bagwell, a notorious pull hitter. As you get a look at Sosa swinging through an outside fastball, Bagwell, a notorious pull hitter, moving into Enron Field, a very pull hitter friendly ballpark. I mean, Bagwell hit 42 homers last year. Only 12 of those came at home.
That figures to change. Ooh, that just missed. Count runs full, 3-2. We'll see if Damon Buford does some running here with 1 man out. I think Bagwell said it best about the Central Division, Bobby. Scoring's not going to be the problem. It's stopping the other guys from scoring that's going to be the problem.
And that's where Don Baylor's theory about playing the game fundamentally sound. Don't give away outs. Play solid defense and take advantage of your opportunities as they present themselves offensively.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Cub right fielder Sammy Sosa. Buford good lead, and Todd Seal holds him over at first. Ball 4. Another walk for Hampton.
We'd ask Mike Hampton, how do you go about getting Sammy Sosa out? He has a definite theory on how to do it.
If Sammy gets you where you can't get the ball inside and he can just start looking outside, it's going to kill you. If you can't get the ball away for a strike, he's going to look inside. So for me to be successful against him, I got to work both sides of the plate, keep him guessing. I can't get him looking for one pitch and sitting on one pitch. If he does that, you know, he's going to has a good chance to hit the ball hard.
So 2 on for the Cubs once again here in the 5th inning. Boy, it's been opportunities lost and opportunities wasted for the Cubs so far on this night, Bobby, and that was a big problem for them in 1999.
You really have to take advantage of the opportunities, as I said, as they present themselves. You never know when a scoring opportunity is going to pop up in a ball game. Right now, the Cubs once again with a chance to do some damage. Henry Rodriguez was at the plate back in the 3rd inning after 3 consecutive walks by Mike Hampton, and Henry Rodriguez swung at the first pitch.
That's one of those fundamentals that will not make Don Baylor real happy.
And I'm sure Don Baylor pointed that out to Henry after the inning was over.
But how about Hampton? 7 walks, but he's still in a 1-1 ball game. Now, he's walked 7 men before in a game. He did it last August 29th against the Marlins, won the game 10-4, if you can believe it. That is walking on a very, very, very thin margin. 92 pitches for Hampton already in the game.
Well, knowing Mike Hampton the way we do, however, I don't think he would mind if he walked 17 batters in this game as long as his team was leading when it was all done.
But right now he has has very little command, quite obviously.
And he's losing command with his fastball. He's missing high and in as you get a look at his pitch count up to this point. He's missing way off the plate when he tries to hit the corners. Really, he's had better success throwing his breaking ball for strikes.
Well, let's see what he has in mind now with a 3-1 count. There is that breaking ball. Now it's 3-2.
And sometimes as a catcher, and of course Mike Piazza will learn more about Mike Hampton as the regular season goes on. Sometimes that's what you have to do. Dave Wallace, Mike Piazza, they're going to have to learn what Mike Hampton needs to get himself back into that groove. Perhaps it's to throw more breaking balls.
Runners lead first and second for the Cubs. And that's upstairs. 8. Mike Hampton walks, and again the Cubs have loaded the bases, this time in the 5th. Amazing.
It really is amazing. Dave Wallace, taking a look at the lineup card there. We mentioned a couple of innings ago the Mets had Pat Mahomes and Rich Rodriguez warming up in the bullpen. Of course, the double play has been his best friend in this ball game. A well-placed ground ball right here. The Mets are going to be swinging the bats in a matter of minutes.
Shane Andrews, the hitter, he has walked, he has singled here tonight. And he takes away ball 1. Oh, those commuters heading into the Big Apple. What are they thinking right now in a 1-1 game? Mike Hampton in his Met debut has walked 8. And we're only in the 5th.
Hampton was able to pitch out of a jam back in the 4th inning with the bases loaded. 1 out. Got the comebacker off the bat of the very speedy Eric Young. A little pirouette. The 1-2-3 double play to bail the Mets out of the inning. As Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, makes his way out to the mound to have some words with Mike Hampton. This may just be a stalling tactic. Perhaps it's a strategy meeting. Maybe just to take a little air out of the ball here, to use a basketball term.
Well, the 4 corners might help him. But so far, the Cubs have not been able to crack Mike Hampton, at least not yet. They loaded him in the 3rd, loaded them in the 4th. They've loaded them again in the 5th. And Shane Andrews with a big chance to put the Cubs in front for the 2nd time tonight. Now he's got a whole world of opportunities. He can sit on a couple of pitches. 3-0.
Now this is where, as a hitter, you pick one pitch in one zone. If it's not there, you take it. The count is still very much in your favor. You figure to get another good pitch to hit on the 3-1 count.
The 3-0 taken all the way.
Obviously a pitch that Shane Andrews did not want, as we see the right-hander Pat Mahomes continuing to throw in that Mets bullpen.
Three balls, 1 strike. Ball 4. Oh, and you hear Hampton scream, come on. He thought that was good enough. But he walks in. Damon Buford with the go-ahead run. Buford wears number 9. Shane Andrews is walk number 9, and it's a 2-1 Chicago lead.
I'm not sure if Mike Hampton was upset with home plate umpire Randy Marsh, or upset with himself. We mentioned at the top of the show a very aggressive competitor. That pitch is obviously off of the outside corner. We've seen it called a strike, depending on the man working behind the plate, but Piazza reaches across his body outside that right shin guard to catch that pitch. That's off the outside corner.
Jose Nieves, the Cubs shortstop, takes a breaking ball. And for the Mets, as Yogi Berra would say, it's deja vu all over again. Remember Game 6 last year against Atlanta? Kenny Rogers walked in the game-winning run. Mike Hampton's walked 9 into the 5th. A chopper pulled foul, and Nieves in a quick 0-2 hole. And Hampton knocking at the door of a dubious New York record.
Yeah, those are not the kind of records you want your name attached to.
The Cubs have him loaded again. Sosa at 3rd, Rodriguez at 2nd, Shane Andrews at 1st. The 0-2. Nieves pulls that ball toward third. Ventura to second one. On to first. Another New York double play. 4 double plays by New York in the ball game, but Mike Hampton's wildness has cost him the lead. He's walked 9, trails 2-1. As we head to the home half of the 5th at the Big Egg in Tokyo.
People will always come and go in our lives, but we all know those few who never left. The partners who've always had you covered. That friend you consider the best, because that's how they make you feel. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, we know what it means to be there, guiding you toward a healthier state of mind. Because the more we know as individuals, the healthier we all feel as a community. Through it all.
I'd kind of given up hope. I wasn't going to spend $12,000 on hair plugs. But I tried this, and it was great, and I've never looked back.
I brush my teeth in the morning. I had braces when I was a child. We take care of other parts of our body. You can take care of your hairline. It's okay.
I mean, I'm just grateful that the products work so well, that they're so convenient, and that I don't have to stress out about losing my hair anymore.
Don't wait until you lose more hair. Go to 4hims.com right now.
As a caricature artist, I appreciate what makes each person unique. That's why I like Liberty Mutual. They get that no two people are alike. And customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. Almost done? What do you think?
I don't see it. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Reese's eggs are back, and we hit them somewhere you'll never find. Psych! We put them everywhere. Grocery stores and supermarkets, gas stations, and chiropractors' offices, bowling alleys and grocery stores, which we already mentioned. Not sorry, Reese's.
2-1 in favor of the Cubs, despite 9. Mike Hampton walks.
Well, he's learning a very valuable lesson as this game goes on, that his defense will get him out of jams. Obviously, he would like to pitch ahead in the count and retire hitters much easier, but his defense has turned 4 double plays behind him, something that he can rely on all season long.
4 New York double plays have doomed the Cubs so far tonight. But hey, how about New York? They've been to Japan before, 26 years ago, 1974. They even made him feel right at home, copying the Shea Stadium scoreboard. Yogi Berra, of course, leading the way for New York, and Tom Terrific anchoring that great New York pitching staff. And that's won their series against the Japanese teams 9-7-2. And yes, they do allow ties in Japanese baseball. Bobby Valentine, familiar as well, managed the Chiba Lotte Marines to their best record in quite some time back in 1995. And he's leading perhaps his best New York team into Japan here in the year 2000. It's a very pivotal year, not only for Bobby Valentine, for Steve Phillips, their general manager, and for a lot of players on this New York team. They are expected to advance and perhaps even win the World Series. They're already talking perhaps about a Subway Series in New York, and we're just underway in the 2000 campaign.
If you see a weakness with the Mets, we've talked about their strong infield defense. Their starting rotation seems to be in good hands. A lot of offense. The outfield defense, however, would raise a red flag, I believe. We mentioned Derek Bell in right field, kind of wavers defensively. Ricky Henderson has been known to turn the switch on and off at times in left field. And Darrell Hamilton, the aging Darrell Hamilton, still very solid out there in center field, but he's forced to cover a lot of ground.
Ricky ropes it foul past third. You and Tom mentioned earlier that there have been talks that this man may be destined for Detroit. How does Bobby Higginson help New York more than Rickey Henderson?
Well, I'm not so sure if I know the answer to that. I'm not that familiar with Bobby Higginson. I know that he was a bright young star a few years ago. He's fallen on hard times the last couple of years, but a lot of baseball people feel he has a tremendous upside. And I think people look more at what Rickey does off the field than what he does on the field. Rickey's going to give you what he has given every team he's ever played for. He's going to get on base. He's going to score runs. He's going to steal bases. He's occasionally going to flake out in left field. 13 seasons with 100 or more runs, 7 with 100 or more walks. He makes things happen.
He hits a rocket deep toward right, but playable for Sammy Sosa. And Henderson flies out for out number 1. No doubt about it, no matter what happens to Rickey Henderson with regard to his Mets career, that is a walking, talking, base-stealing Hall of Famer.
And the only question I would think in Rickey's case is what uniform will go in the Hall?
That is a good question. There have been many.
There have been many. And he has played with distinction everywhere he's been.
Here's Darrell Hamilton. He has the lone Met RBI, a sacrifice fly back in the third. Very quietly, John Lieber just going about his business. Not a dazzling performance, but that's John Lieber at his best.
This is just, I think a lot of pitchers could learn a lesson from John Lieber. Get the ball, throw it over the plate with a little bit of movement, let your defense work behind you. Try to get your defense back in the dugout as quickly as you can. Give them a chance to score some runs for you.
He leads it 2-1, as you see here in Tokyo, and Hamilton pawing around in that left-hand batter's box. That has become one of the stories of this ball game. The dirt surfaces here at the Tokyo Dome, very sandy, very slippery. And that's the pitch Lieber's been working on so very hard, trying to get that changeup over to left-hand hitters. That's fouled off Hamilton's foot, I thought, but instead it's bounced to Young, and he's retired for out number 2.
Well, we talked to Joe Girardi, John Lieber's catcher, about John Lieber and what kind of a pitcher is he out there on the mound.
John Lieber's a pitcher who likes to get the ball and throw it. He works fast, and players appreciate that because you're always on your toes. He's a sinker ball pitcher with a slider, and he's developed a changeup during spring training, and we hope to use that to keep the left-handed hitters off stride a little bit more. And obviously he's a location pitcher, and when he's on, his location's great.
Here's Edgardo Alfonzo. He takes a quick strike. Alfonzo has doubled and has struck out. What a year this man had for the Mets last year. Popped up out of play right side. 27 homers, 108 runs driven in, 41 doubles, and again that 300 batting average and a new position.
And he's just such a smooth player, Chip. Very, very intelligent, always gets himself in a good position. We saw him break the wrong way on a ground ball earlier in this game, which is the first time I've ever seen Edgardo Alfonzo be out of position.
Chopper toward Andrews at third. Grace couldn't dig it out.
Well, that's something you don't see very often either. You see Grace pawing at the dirt over there at first base. Obviously a bad throw by Shane Andrews in the dirt, but Mark Grace has picked thousands of those out of the dirt for his Cubs infielders. It's going to be ruled an error on Andrews. Took a little too much time unloading that throw across the infield, threw Mark Grace's sinker in the dirt. And once again, the dirt comes into play here at the Tokyo Dome, this time at first base.
I think Gracie caught more dirt than ball on that particular throw. So that brings Mike Piazza to the plate with a runner aboard. That's the last thing Lieber wanted to see happen in this situation. And this is a spot where you know Piazza has the fangs glaring and blaring. Piazza is grounded to third, and he has singled tonight. 2 balls, no strikes.
Dangerous count here for John Lieber. Mike Piazza, a good low fastball hitter. Lieber, a sinker ball pitcher, as we mentioned. After falling behind 1-0, he tried to get a swinging strike on that slider down low and away, and you can see what Mike Piazza has done in his career against the sinker baller John Lieber.
Sosa playing deep, charges in. Eric Young drifts out. He's got it, and Lieber dodges the Andrews error. We're through 5 in Tokyo. What a debut for the 2000 season. The Cubs lead the Mets 2-1.
Hey Cubs fans, it's Len Casper. I've been asked to give you my favorite opening day memory. March 31st, 2008, Kosuke Fukudome in his Major League debut with a game-tying 3-run homer in the 9th inning to send the game to extras. Unfortunately, the Cubs didn't win the game that day, but it was one of the great moments in Cubs opening day history. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we hope to see you soon on Marquee Sports Network.
If your shirt isn't tucked into your pants, are your pants tucked into your shirt?
When you're getting big-time results from your Constant Contact emails, it's okay to let your mind wander. Try email and our new website builder, free.
Hey, it's not that hard. Stay home. Save lives.
America, your neighbor needs you. Let's help each other through the coronavirus crisis. Marquee Sports Network is partnering with the Salvation Army to deliver food, shelter, and hope in your community. Go to MarqueeSportsNetwork.com and click to make a donation to the Salvation Army, where all proceeds stay right here in your area to help your neighbors in need. Join Marquee Sports Network, the Salvation Army, and Sinclair Cares, Your Neighbor Needs You campaign.
Marquee Sports Network counts down the top 35 announcer calls of all time.
Long drive, way back, it might be, it could be, and
Jason Hayward makes a catch, it's a no-hitter. Here comes the hook. Got him, 20 strikeouts. The Cubs win the World Series. The Cubs Countdown, Saturday at 10 on Marquee Sports Network.
Mike Hampton's night is complete. Robert, 9 walks, and he leaves trailing by a run.
Well, certainly not the kind of debut with this new ball club that Mike Hampton was hoping for, but once again, his competitive nature, his aggressiveness, he didn't pitch well, but his team is still in the ball game.
And he'll give way to former Cub, right-hander Turk Wendell, who had a terrific year last year for New York, a rubber-armed right-hander who knows how to pitch, but maybe doesn't know how to track mountain lions too well.
They had a little problem with that this winter. You say that term rubber arm. That used to be a derogatory thing, in high school.
Sure.
Pitchers got a rubber arm. I'm telling you, a lot of managers in baseball would take a rubber arm like Turk Wendell and able to take that ball. He pitched in 80 ball games last year. Slider after slider after slider. He'll mix in an occasional sinking fastball, an occasional changeup, but tremendous control of his slider. He's able to make it break short and sharp or wrap around it a little bit and make it a little bit bigger breaking ball.
Top of the hour here in Tokyo. It's 9 o'clock local time.
And every night at 9 o'clock, they put down new lines on the batter's box here in Tokyo.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Really.
They are very punctual here in Tokyo. And we're glad you're with us. In the morning, back in the States, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Hope the traffic's not too bad as you make your morning commute.
Don't spill your coffee.
That's right. Buckle up, wear your seatbelt. And Wendell and the New York Mets and Chicago Cubs better put on the seatbelts as well. 4 more innings of baseball tonight in the Tokyo Dome, and then another ball game tomorrow, and then both teams jet back to the good old USA on Friday. So here we go. Joe Girardi set to lead things off. Girardi, then John Lieber, and then Eric Young for the Cubs, who lead 2-1. And Wendell misses with ball 1. The Cubs totally revamped the heart of their defense. New catcher, new second baseman, new shortstop, new center fielder. Girardi, of course, the former Cub who went to Colorado in the expansion draft, won all those World Series rings with the New York Yankees. But this man brings an awful lot to this Chicago Cubs organization.
Well, he brought a lot to the Cubs organization the first time around, but now after all that experience, those World Series rings and base hits up the middle like that one, he's back for his second go-round. I mentioned it earlier, Chip, it's like having another manager on the field behind the plate.
So he's aboard with a leadoff 6th inning single. We'll see if Lieber can bunt him over. And and give the Cubs an insurance run here in Tokyo. Lieber 0 for 2, as you see, fly to center and struck out looking against Mike Hampton.
And you would certainly anticipate Lieber trying to bunt that ball to the new first baseman, Todd Zeile, learning a new position down there. Robin Ventura, obviously you don't want him to have the ball in any way, shape, or form.
Well, that's what makes this Met team so tough. If you hit the ball on the ground, you're out. That's it.
They just don't make errors. Mets infielders combined for 33 errors last year.
And 68 as a team. That led all of baseball. You know who's number 2 in the National League in errors? The Phillies with 100. 32 more. And only 20 unearned runs allowed by New York.
And the Mets did play 162.
Yes.
162, just like everybody else.
Lieber draws the bat back. Wendell can't get the ball down. It's 2-0.
And the thing that's even more amazing about it, Chip, is most infielders will tell you that Shea Stadium infield is one of the most brutal fields to pick ground balls on in all of baseball. And these guys made it look easy.
Lieber bunts it towards Zeile. And a good sacrifice, 3 unassisted. If you're going to bunt the ball, that's the guy to bunt it to on this New York defensive infield.
But one thing good about it, Todd Zeile took a look at second base. A lot of first basemen will just concede that runner advancing into scoring position, not even attempt to make a look. But the first thing Todd Zeile does is get himself in position to throw to second base. In his judgment, he didn't have a play at second, so he turned around, applied the tag to John Lieber, get the sure out. I like to see that aggressive thinking on the part of Todd Zeile at first base, and that comes from Keith Hernandez, 11-time Gold Glove winner.
They've been working together since the opening of spring training. And here's Eric Young. Young walked, stole second, and scored the first run of the new millennium back in the first inning. Grounded to short, bounced into a brilliantly turned 1-2-3 double play to end the Chicago fourth. Girardi, a big insurance run for the Cubs at second here in the sixth. And again, it's 2-0.
Watch how many times Turk Wendell goes to that slider. He missed just off the outside corner with a short, sharp breaking slider that time. Sometimes he'll wrap around it, make it a little bit bigger, kind of an American Legion curveball. Breaking ball, breaking ball, breaking ball.
Turk not too happy with that pitch. 3 balls, no strikes. And Piazza trying to settle him down behind the Pentagon. That's right through there, 3-1. Joe Girardi blessed with catcher speed. I know that pains you when I say something like that.
However, he is a very intelligent base runner, will very rarely make a mistake on the bases. He knows when to try to take the extra base.
Young pops it up, and it's playable for Piazza. There's out number 2. So Wendell makes a big pitch.
Like our friend Dirty Harry Callahan said, Chip, a man has got to know his limitations. Joe Girardi knows his limitations. He's not going to steal a lot of bases, but he will take the extra base when it's needed.
You're breaking up the Dirty Harry Callahan references again.
I saw a bit of a Dirty Harry Callahan movie the other day in Chinese. Now there's that thrill.
How much of it did you understand?
None of it. I don't understand any of this stuff. I told Tommy that earlier. I am baffled, completely baffled.
You're not the only one. Buford's been on base 3 times tonight. Cubs got him for his glove. How about his bat tonight? 2 for 2 with an RBI, a run scored, and a walk.
Take advantage of opportunities. You know, Don Baylor seeing a lot of guys, as you see the video games being played. I wonder if he's got Damon Buford at the plate in the game.
Swing and a miss, a ball and a strike.
You know, I'll tell you, it's still very early in the season. Obviously, the Cubs have been through spring training, and Don Baylor has an idea of where everybody fits on this roster and their role with the ball club. But, you know, you get an opportunity to move up in that 2 slot in the lineup tonight. You make some noise with that bat. You make some things happen, and maybe you find yourself in that 2 spot again.
1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, Don has said that his plan is to have Ricky Gutierrez bat in the number 2 spot on a regular basis. He toyed with the idea of having Joe Girardi bat second, but he likes Gutierrez's speed at the top of the order. Of course, Gutierrez unable to play tonight with a rib cage strain. His status is day-to-day. And the key for the Cubs is how often can Gutierrez and Young get on ahead of that man and Mark Grace. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Damon Buford. Acquired from the Red Sox for Manny Alexander in the offseason. Girardi leading from second, 2-1 Cubs. Foul tip, Piazza couldn't hang on, and you hear Wendell trying to umpire from 60 feet 6 inches away.
Well, Mike Piazza caught that one right in the heart. Breaking ball that kind of hung up over the plate a little bit for Damon Buford. He had a good cut at it. Pow! Right in the chest. I mean, that chest picker helps a little bit, but that'll still get your attention back there.
And I'm not sure if Mike is grimacing or laughing at Wendell.
Well, he's very animated out there on the mound. I got to believe that the fans are going to like Turk Wendell the more they see him.
Yes. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Damon Buford. And he hangs tough here at the Tokyo Dome. How do you like this place?
You know, surprisingly enough, Chip, we came in here yesterday to watch the exhibition game, and I thought, my God, what a big dome. You know, it looked huge standing behind home plate, but then the batters got in there for batting practice, and they were knocking balls off the scoreboard and all over the place. It's visually deceiving, I guess, is the best way to put it. It's not as big as it appears.
Modeled after the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Low. Full count, 3-2. They were kind enough to put the dimensions of the ballpark on the fences before this game. 333 down the line, symmetrical ballpark with 406 to straightaway center. And another New York walk. That's 10 of them in the game in the first from Wendell, and now he has to face the Cubs' best hitter, Mark Grace, with 2 on and 2 out.
Oh, we've talked already about Turk Wendell. His bread and butter pitch is that slider, and for a professional hitter like Mark Grace, he's going up there right now with the game plan in mind. As Dave Wallace makes his way out to the mound, tries to get Randy Marsh's attention before going out to the mound. Not sure if he's going to make a change right here or he's just going out to talk. Occasionally Bobby Valentine will send his pitching coach out to make the pitching changes.
He is going to make a change. Wendell works 2/3 of an inning, and he'll leave with 2 men on for the Cubs here in the 6th. Another opportunity for Chicago, but it's lefty versus lefty. Key situation for a man that's worn the Cubs uniform his entire major league career, Mark Grace. We asked him about his approach to hitting.
I consider myself a situational hitter. If the situation calls to pull the ball, try to pull the ball. If a situation calls for maybe trying to drive the ball in the gap or try to drive a home run, then I'll try to do something like that. I guess the best way to describe me would be a tough out. I'm not gonna kill you like a Sosa or a McGuire or a Junior or a Bagwell, guy like that, but I can hurt you with base hits and doubles.
Boy, and he's done plenty of that throughout his career. Mark Grace talking about being a situational hitter facing a tough left-hander in Dennis Cook. You see his numbers on the season last year. 10 wins out of that Mets bullpen. It would figure that Mark Grace right now is going to anticipate a pitch on the outside part of the plate and try to hit it to the opposite field to drive in a run.
And that's the danger that Grace presents for the opposition. He can spray the ball all over the diamond. However, if Cook misses inside like that, look at the gap Grace has in right center field. A huge hole with which to work.
See Mark Grace's hot zone, very much a low ball hitter, like most left-handers, down and in his happy zone, but even that pitch